Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
Can you hear me?
Yes, madam.
All right. Okay. Good evening again. Please inform your friends to join quickly. Now, so far we have discussed formal agencies of education and informal agencies of education. Today, we'll discuss the non-formal agencies of education. So what are these non-formal agencies? It can be any organized educational activity outside the formal education system. Now, it can be operating separately or as an important feature of some broader activity. But it is intended to serve some identifiable learning clientele and learning objectives. So non-formal education usually embrace all forms of learning activities that are basically organized outside the formal education system. Now, for the examples are distance education and hobby courses. Now, when we think about a definition of non-formal agencies of education, non-formal education, Philip H. Combs, he was a famous thinker. He says that non-formal education is any organized program of learning carried on outside the framework, the rules and logistics of the formal education system. Now, so according to this definition, it can be any organized program of learning which happens outside the framework, mean outside formal education system, but it has all the rules and regulations of a or logistics of a formal education system. Now, so non-formal education can be of two ways. One is systematic non-formal, systematic non-school educational, and the other one is training activities of relatively short duration. Non-school educational and training activities. Now, these may have sponsoring agencies who want to have behavioral changes in the learners after doing that course. So the program of non-formal education is a very important step, a significant step to boost the education system of a country. It is a kind of support actually for the whole education system of the country. Now we'll see what are the essential features of non-formal education. Now it has these features. What are they? Support system, out of school children, a flexible system, need-based curriculum, place of education, then organization, less expensive. We'll look at this in detail. Support system. What do you mean by this? Now, uh, actually, non-formal education is not an alternative to formal education, not an alternative, but it's a supportive system, or it gives a support service to the function of the formal education system in order to realize the goal of universalization of elementary education. Universalization, that means kind of now everybody, everyone, in order to educate everybody in the society, this non-formal education is helpful. Then out of school children mean who the students or children in the age group of 6 to 14, but who have been dropped out from the schools, or who have never been enrolled to schools, and children belong to rural communities, urban slum areas. So the children in these groups primarily are the beneficiaries of non-formal education system. Then flexible system. Flexible mean, now it differs from formal education here, right? Now, so there is no fixed age of entry, and no fixed timetable, and no rigid rules. So classes can be held at a convenient time during the morning, afternoon, or in the evening. And children can engage, can be enrolled into the non-formal educational centers that are close to their workplaces or fields or houses. And need-based curriculum. Now, this non-formal education curriculum, problems and needs of the local community, and they provide the content suitable to catering the problems and needs of the community. So the problems and needs of these people can be health, vocation, and family life, society and physical environment, like that. So that depending on the particular need and problem, the curriculum is selected. But this non-formal education does not prescribe any syllabine, language, arithmetic, or environmental studies as in the formal system. Then place of education. Now, the classes of non-formal education can be held in primary schools or community centers or at any place in the local community. Then organization of these education, non-formal education is by the government departments or non-governmental organizations, NGOs. Through them, these are organized. And also non-formal education is less expensive when compared to the formal education, material cost and teachers salary cost of that is somewhat less. Then we'll talk about continuing education. Continuing, that means a follow-up education. Follow-up. The starting point of this continuing education depends on from where one wishes to take off. According to the wishes of a person or a child, he can start continuing education at a particular time and continue his education in whatever field he wants. Now, it can be in the nature of post-literary to post-graduation programs or anything in between. But in most cases, the continuing education is highly flexible and unstructured. And in that case, it is closer to the nature of the non-formal education. But this continuing education is obviously a component and essential strategy in the lifelong education concept. Lifelong education means the education from womb to tomb, birth to death, right? In that kind of concept, this continuing education is also play a vital part. So this continuing education takes on from where the formal education or adult education leaves a learner. So the starting point for continuing education may be many neoliterate. Neoliterate mean very low literacy rate. Then school dropouts with permanent literacy skills. Then secondary school leavers, college or university leavers, and those who have completed the college and university education. So it can be any of these. Anyone at any of these stage can start continuing education. In the Indian context, there are certain problems in continuing education, basically in levels neo-literate, school dropouts and secondary school leavers. Kind of problem of continuing education in these levels, 3 levels, not neo-literate, school dropouts and secondary school leavers. Now, for the college and university leavers, now there are cases like that, college leavers, university leavers without completing, leaving those places. So they have completed, now to a certain extent, they have completed their course and they have their inner need or necessity of continuing education. But in the case of neo-literate or school dropouts with permanent literate, they don't have that necessity of doing continuing their education. That's the problem they have in India. So women's welfare programs and their related educational components are also included in this women's welfare programs and their related components. That is the situation in India. There may be similarities or something with in Sri Lankan context. So there have been various efforts with success in preparation and dissemination of post-literary materials, more especially under the National Literary Missions post-literacy programs. Many successful programs were prepared and disseminated by this National Literacy Mission. So, seeing in this perspective of continuing education, quite a few agencies have been engaged in this activity. Very limited agencies have been engaged in this continuing education. So agriculture, health and family welfare departments, cooperatives, banks have been producing materials for their extension programs, which could be used for continuing education purposes. And for school leavers, there are a lot of scope for material preparation in areas like do-it-yourself, vocational educational materials, and materials for small-scale entrepreneurship programs. Material preparation is an essential thing. Now, like different interesting fields, there is a necessity for that. So this vocation-based material primarily meant for senior secondary education programs for the school leavers. So now any kind of this level of this continuing education, there should be a program and so and program material. So they have to be prepared. Further, the culture centers established in the different regions of the country also provide the potential avenue to further the cause of continuing education. Cultural centers. Now, this is regarding India. There are so many cultural centers established in the different parts of India, and they also provide enough materials for this continuing education. However, uh, however, these have not been visualized as continuing education agents, the cultural centers, and whatever agencies have been responsible for these programs perspective and have not considered them as an activity of continuing education. What does this mean? That means these cultural centers and though they are providing potential avenue for further this continuing education, they are not regarded as responsible agencies of continuing education because they have their own perspectives and their views, and they are trying to promote their own views. So that's why they are not considered as agencies of continuing education. Now there are questions for you to find answers. What are the active agencies of education? Now, then state 4 important functions performed by schools. What is non-formal education? What is continuing education? I think we have discussed this earlier. If you can remember, agencies of education first divided as formal agencies and informal, then further they have been divided as active agencies of education and passive agencies of education. Active agencies of education are the ones which try to control the social process and direct it into a definite goal. Active agencies of education are the agencies that try to control the social process and direction goal. So under that you have schools, community, family, state, social clubs and religion are active agencies of education?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes,
When the
Ravindika.
question asks as what are the active agencies of education, is it okay to write down only the example or we need to describe simply?
Yeah, you have to describe it actually and give the examples.
Okay, ma'am.
Describe
Thank you.
what. Yeah, welcome. Then state the 4 important functions of the functions performed by schools. Certain functions like this: conservation and perpetuation of school life, promotion of culture and civilization, deployment of cultural pluralism, all-round development of the individual, responsibility of social reconstruction, development of the quality of leadership, promotion of social efficiency. So you can write any 4 of these. Then next one is what is non-formal education. So we have been discussing that. Non-formal education, any organized program of learning carried on outside the framework, the rule and logistics of the formal education system. So you can write in your own words. Then what is continuing education? Continuing education is a follow-up education where one can start from a point he wishes and take off and continue his education in a, preferable field he wants. So I think you can write a very brief note for uh, these two. First, second, third and fourth, a brief note, just explain and give examples if possible. For the second one, statement, you can just write the 4 important functions. Then we'll come to a very special topic, human rights education. Human rights are comprehensive and applicable to every individual, applicable to everyone, every individual. Respect for individual rights need to be upheld at all times, irrespective of circumstances and political system. So everyone should respect the individual rights, irrespective of the circumstances or political system. So these are very important things. So they consist of minimum entitlement that a government must provide and protect, like a certain kind of margin or borderline for protecting the rights. So human rights gives a borderline for a government uh, that the showing what they should provide for people and what they should protect. So they are fundamental in the sense that they cannot be denied under any circumstances. Right now, despite of the circumstances, despite of the situation, uh, everybody must protect these rights. So they become fundamental rights. So men and women are equal in maintaining a society. So both have uh, equal in a society. Both men and women are equal. Members of a society depend on each other to grow and live their lives. So we depend on each other for our living. Around this societal system, men and women and activities, big or small, revolve. So in this society or societal system, we have men and women and so many activities. They are big, they can be at varied levels. They revolve. Revolve means happen again and again. So, uh, so this, as far as these rights and dignity are concerned, all men and women are equal in the eyes of the law. Right now, in a society where everybody protects the rights and dignity of individuals, all men are women, everybody are equal in the eyes of law. That means according to law, they are equally protected. Mankind's conscience and reasoning are the foundations of human rights. Mankind's conscience, conscience, what he believe in him, according to him, and reasoning means how he clarifies the things, are the foundation or basis for human rights. So the term human rights refers to the rights of people, civil liberties, political rights, and social and economic rights of a human being. Right now, when referring to human rights, we can talk about civil rights, civil liberties, political rights, social and economic rights of human beings. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights was implemented on the 10th December 1948. Universal Declaration of Human Rights was implemented on 10th December 1948 and is officially recognized by most countries. It includes individuals' rights according to these categories. What are they? Civil rights, political rights, and social and economic rights. Civil rights refer to freedom from slavery and servitude, torture and inhuman punishment, and arbitrary arrest and imprisonment freedom of speech, faith, opinion and expression, right to life, security, justice, ownership, and assembly. Right? Freedom from slavery and servitude. Any kind of slavery is not accepted. Torture, a kind of uh, giving punishments, inhuman punishments, and arbitrary arresting, imprisonment are now people have to be free from these kind of things, and they should have freedom of speech, freedom to have their own faith, opinion, and expression. They have right to life, security, justice, ownership, and assembly. Then political rights, under that, they have a right to vote and nominate for public office and right to form and join political parties. Then social and economic rights, this refers to the right to education, work, food and shelter, medical care. And this right establish the new rights which range from the right to economic welfare and security to the right to share and to live the life of a civilized being. Now, other than the education, work, food, shelter, and medical care, there's a new rights. It ranges from right to economic welfare, to have a economically well, being economically uh, satisfied condition, and security to the right, and security to the right to share and to live the life of a civilized being. See, uh, think whether these are fulfilled in our uh, societies and in global wise. The concept of human rights implies that a human being is equal in the eyes of law, irrespective of his or her caste, creed, color, and nationality. What does this mean? Whatever nationality you are, what color, the color of your skin, whether it's fair or dark, or caste or creed or whatever it is, you are equal in the eyes of law. So equality and dignity are the fundamental principles of human rights. Equality and dignity, respect. Human rights should not be compromised, as these have been enshrined in Constitution of India. Uh, so this is about India. It has included in the Constitution of India, and in Sri Lanka also. For the Constitution of Sri Lanka, Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka, they have agreed this Universal Convention of Human Rights. So as members of society, we need to create a conducive environment, not only for normal residents, but also for the downtrodden and the needy. See, when we think about human rights, You have to think about everybody, even not only the normal people, normal residents of a country, but also the downtrodden people, in the needy people, even the beggars, the people in the slums, in the rural disadvantaged families. Everybody have these uh, uh, human rights. So every single individual should be able to grow mentally, physically, and socially, and should lead a happy life. Everybody should have this free situation to lead a happy life. This can only be achieved if we respect each other's individuality and self-respect, and treat others as we would like others to treat us. This is very important. How can we achieve uh, everybody's happiness, happy life? If you respect others, the individuality, others' freedom, if we have self-respect, if we treat others as we would like others, like a reflection. You have to, when you do something to others, think that is this something I want from them? If now suppose if one uh, punishes another one, a poor person hits a person, think not once, twice, thrice, many times. Think, is it what I expect from him or others, right? Now, two-way thing, two-way, not one way, right? If we think two-way, we are likely to promote the human rights. So let's see the meaning and significance of human rights and duties. The concept of human rights is quite old. The general view of human rights considers all human beings to be equal in the eyes of the law. The general view of human right is uh, to all human beings to be equal in the eyes of the law. Human rights are inherent, individual, and automatically exercised. Inherent, individual, and automatically exercised. At the international level, the legal standard of human rights has been adopted since 1948 in the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Legal standard of human rights. Legal standard for human rights was adopted since 1948 under the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. After that, in 1966, in the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. So, under both of these, the legal standard has been adopted. The content and the scope of human rights are still debated. Still, we have arguments over the content and the scope of human rights. Some limit them to traditional civil liberties and political freedoms, whereas others extend to a broader concept that includes social and economic rights. People have different views on the content and the scope of human rights. Some like to uh, limit them to traditional and civil liberties and political freedom. Others uh, exaggerate or extend them to social and economic rights. Human rights are important for all individuals, and an ideological starting point is respect for human dignity, and a final purpose is that it is a guarantee of basic rights. Now, I think we can accept that. Now, respect for human dignity. Everybody must have a respect for human dignity. Everybody has his or her own dignity. So we have to respect. And uh, it is a guarantee of basic rights. Uh, so, yeah, sorry for the technical issue. Yeah. So, international and national community has taken steps to promote and protect human rights in a number of ways. So every human being is entitled to some basic rights, and they are neither created nor can be withdrawn from them. So these rights are commonly known as human rights. It's a generic term, and it embraces civil rights, civil liberties, and social and economic, cultural rights. Uh, so human rights are rights and freedom to which all humans are entitled. Every human being is entitled to these human rights. Uh, we have, because of we are human beings, we have certain rights. These rights are justified as moral norms, and they exist as shared norms of humanity. These are natural rights based on reasons or legalese, natural rights. So no consensus is available for the precise manner of what should or should not be regarded as a human right. Now we'll see what John Locke, an English philosopher, uh, has defined uh, the human rights. He's defined human rights as absolute moral claims of entitlement to life, liberty, and property. Absolute moral claims or entitlements to life, liberty, and property. One of the finest expressions of human rights is in the US Declaration of Rights in uh, 1776, which says that all men are by nature equally free and independent and have certain inherent natural rights of which, when they enter a society, they cannot be deprived or divest their posterity. Uh, this is one of the finest expressions of human rights. That is in the United States Declaration of Rights in 1776. All men are by nature equally free and independent and have certain inherent natural rights of which, when they enter a society, they cannot be deprived or divest their posterity. So these natural rights, human rights, are also called as fundamental rights. Again, ex-Chief Justice of India, J.S. Verma, in 1978 has stated that human dignity is the quintessence of human rights. Human dignity is the quintessence of human rights. The most important thing in human rights is the human dignity. So, in all those rights which are essential for the protection and maintenance of dignity of Right. We were discussing the statement given by uh, the ex-Chief Justice of India, J.S. Verma. Then, this now dignity has never been precisely defined uh, on the basis of consensus, but it accords roughly with justice and good society. The World Conference on Human Rights 1993 held in Vienna, it's derived from the dignity and worth inherent in human person. All human rights derive from the dignity and worth inherent in a human person, and that the human person is the central subject of human rights and fundamental freedoms. That is, according to the World Conference on Human Rights in 1993. D.D. Basu, a constitutional commentator, defines human rights this way. He defines human rights as those minimum rights which every individual must have against the state or other public authority by virtue of his being a member of human family, irrespective of any other consideration. So, human minimum rights of every individual must have against the state or any public authority by his virtue of being a member of the human family, irrespective of any other consideration. So, it could be understood from these definitions given above that human rights are the rights that belong to an individual as a consequence of being human and are a means of human dignity, right? By as being an individual, you have human rights, and it also shows that you have human dignity. So they are provided to all men everywhere at all times. So the human rights apply to all men everywhere at all times. That are the boundaries. So human beings should be protected against unjust and mortifying treatment by fellow human beings. So human beings have to be protected from unjust and mortifying treatment, harmful treatment by his fellow human beings. Arbitrary power cannot be operated on them. A state or any other such organized community can realize human rights, any state or whatever organized community. In a state of anarchy where there is lawlessness and chaos, human rights cannot be expected to be invoked, right? In a time of war, if you have a war period in a country or between countries, you cannot expect the human rights to be functioned. These rights are required for the holistic development of human beings in society and should be protected and available at all costs. But they are required, they are the essentials for the holistic, uh, all-round development of human beings in society, and they should be protected and available at any rate. Human rights are indivisible. They cannot be uh, divided or and interdependent. Indivisible, interdependent, and there is no differentiation in typology of human rights. No differentiation for uh, no in no such thing, but they are indivisible and interdependent both ways. All human rights are equally important, inherent in all human beings. They are, everyone is equally important. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights has not categorized human rights in different articles. Universal Declaration of Human Rights have mentioned the human rights in different articles. The most common categorization of human rights are as follows. These articles: civil and political rights, economic, social, and cultural rights. Under these, these are the two common things. We'll see what they are. Civil and political rights. The civil and political rights are enshrined in Article 3 to 21 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, UDHR. Article 3 to 21 is about civil and political rights. And in the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and in the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, Article 3 to 21 are about civil and political rights. Civil rights or liberties are referred to those rights which are related to the protection of the right to life and personal liberty. Civil right or liberty, civil liberty or civil right means right to life and personal liberty. These are essential for living a dignified life. Everybody should have freedom to live a life. That is the fundamental right. Right to life, liberty, and security of persons. Right to privacy, home and correspondence. Right to own property. Freedom from torture, inhuman and degrading treatment. Freedom of thought, conscience, and religion, and freedom of movement are included in these rights. So, under civil and political rights, you have is right to life, right to life, liberty and security of persons, right to privacy, home and correspondence, right to own property, freedom, uh, freedom from torture, inhuman and degrading treatment, freedom and freedom of movement are in this. That is civil rights. Political rights allow a person to participate in the state governance. It allows a person to engage in the government activity. Right to vote, right to take part in the conduct of public affairs, directly or through chosen representatives are instances of political rights. So under political rights, you have right to vote, right to take part in the conduct of public affairs directly or through a chosen representative. So these civil and political rights can be protected by the state, are cost-free and could be immediately provided if the state decided to. The provision of these rights is easy to judge and measure. They are justifiable, real legal rights. Now you can see uh, uh, they these are actually uh, valuable things, the civil and political rights. Then the number 2 is economic, social and cultural rights. They are enshrined in Article 22 to 28. The first civil and political rights from economic, social and cultural rights are in 22 to 28 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and in the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights. Articles 22 to 28. Economic, social and cultural rights or economic, social and cultural freedom are related to the guarantee of minimum necessities to life, necessities of the life to human beings. Minimum necessities, guarantee of human necessities of life. The existence of human beings is likely to be endangered in the absence of these right now. See, if the society or if the state is not protecting these economic, social and cultural rights, human beings are likely to be endangered. We will be extincted. We will be vanished one day if nobody uh, uh, respects these rights. What are they? Right to adequate food. See how important are they? Right to adequate food, clothing, housing, and adequate standard of living. How true are they? Right to adequate food, clothing, housing, adequate standard of living. Free from hunger, right to work, right to social security, right to physical and mental health, right to education. See how important these rights are. Food, clothing, housing, standard of living, free from hunger, right to work, social security, physical and mental health, education. These are positive rights, which mean these require positive entitlement by the state. The state should give these rights, provide these rights for people. These rights are massive investments and are by nature progressive. If these are provided, they are investments and helpful for what do you call progress of the society. So social and economic rights cannot be measured quantitatively, and it is difficult to determine if these have been breached or broken. So these rights, economic and social rights, cannot be measured qualitatively in quantity wise. Sorry, not qualitative, quantity wise cannot be measured, and uh, it's difficult when it's breached or broken. Can't see. Uh, uh, Carol Vasak, the first Secretary General of the International Institute of Human Rights. Carol Vasak. He was the first Secretary General of the International Institute of Human Rights. He has categorized human rights into 3 generations. Carol Vasak. The first of civil and political rights, which have been derived from reformist theories associated with the French, English, and American revolutions of the 17th and 18th century. The civil and political rights are derived from the reformist theories, revolutions, French Revolution, English Revolution, and American Revolution in the 17th and 18th centuries. They were first enshrined at the global level by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948 and given status in international law in Article 3 to 21 of the Universal Declaration. So, they are given, they were accepted by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948, and it was given international status of international law in Articles 3 to 21 of that declaration. That is the first generation. The second generation of human rights was recognized by governments after World War I. These are associated with equality and were fundamentally economic, social, and cultural in nature. After the World War I, there was massive disaster, very disastrous. So after that, the countries discussed and reorganized the human rights. They are fundamentally economic, social, and cultural. Second generation rights include the right to be employed, right to housing, and so on. So in employment and right to housing. They are also incorporated in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and further embodied in Articles 22 to 27 of the Universal Declaration and the International Covenant of Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. So they are about social, the right to be employed, right to housing, and so on. So Article 22 to 27 of the Universal Declaration and the International Covenant of Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. The third generation, now we have discussed the first generation, second generation, and the third generation of human rights uh, go beyond the mere civil and social rights, go beyond that level. They have been expressed in many progressive documents of international law, like 1972 Stockholm Declaration of the United Nations Conference on Human Environment, the 1992 Rio Declaration on Environment and Development. So they were somewhat advanced than civil and social rights. So there are two important international laws. So 1972 Stockholm Declaration of the United Nations Conference on Human Environment and 1992 Rio Declaration on Environment and Development. So this third term generation of human rights is largely unofficial and has not been enacted in legally binding documents. It has not still been included in uh, the United Nations Convention. Legally not being legally not bounded document. This includes extremely broad spectrum of rights. Now, the rights included in them, the third generation of human rights are these: group and collective rights, right to self-determination, right to economic and social development, right to a healthy environment, right to natural resources, right to communicate and communication rights, right to participation in cultural heritage, rights to intergenerational equity and sustainability. Uh, so we have to think that though they have accepted as human rights, third generation human rights, they are still unofficial and not entered as a legal document. So in this categorization of human rights, the third generation is the most debated and lacks both legal and political recognition. So I mentioned that the third generation of human rights is still expecting the legal and political recognition. So the first generation is civil and political rights. The rights are right to life, liberty and security, privacy, home and correspondence, own property, freedom from torture, freedom of thought, conscience, and religion, and freedom of movement. Second generation is economic, social, and cultural rights, right to adequate food, clothing, housing, an adequate standard of living, freedom from hunger, right to work, right to social security, right to physical and mental health, and right to education. Third generation collective rights, right to self-determination, economic and social development, healthy environment, and natural resources. Despite different meanings and explanations, the basis of all the rights is that they are derived from the inherent dignity of the human beings and are essential for free and full development. So, whatever the explanations or meanings are, we have to accept that they are derived from the inherent dignity of the human beings, and they are essential for the holistic development of person. Then we'll find out the characteristics of human rights. Uh, so according to United Nations System and Human Rights 2000, human rights are universal legal guarantees protecting individuals and groups against actions that interfere with fundamental freedoms and human dignity. So, according to United Nations System and human rights are universal legal guarantees protecting individuals from actions that interfere with their fundamental freedom and human dignity. So, some of the most important characteristics of human rights are uh, these characteristics of human rights guaranteed by international standards, legally protected, then focus on the dignity of human beings, oblige states and state actors, cannot be waived or taken away, interdependent and interrelated, universal. So these are the characteristic or features of human rights guaranteed by international. They have international standard, protected by international standards, legal documentation, conventions are there. They are legally protected, legal. Uh, then focus on the dignity of the human being, dignity, oblige state and state actors, cannot be waived or taken away, cannot be removed, cannot be differentiated. They are interdependent and interrelated and universal. Uh, so human rights are natural rights that stem from human dignity and have some specific characteristics. So on the other way, natural rights, and they have special characteristics. So we'll see what are they. Internationalism. See why they are then, and then universality, inheritance, absoluteness, inviolability, permanence. So, individuality, self-determination, self-evidence, fundamental. So, they are the specific characteristics of human rights. We'll see what they are. Internationalism, United Nations Charter, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Vienna Declaration of Human Rights. All these three guarantee respect for human dignity and the right to pursue happiness. United Nations Charter, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Vienna Declaration of Human Rights. They guarantee respect for human dignity and right to pursue happiness. These international efforts have been agreed on internationally, making human rights a subject of international concern. So, the human rights is an internationally concerned subject. They have been discussed internationally. International recognition was given to it. All the countries are expected to observe these rights equally and with sincerity. So it is expected that all the countries of the world uh, will observe these human rights equally and with sincerity. Uh, the consequently, the guarantee of human right is not given not only by individual states but by the international community as a whole. The guarantee, not individual state, individual countries, not only but internationally by international community guarantees guarantees these uh, rights. It is a vital and ever increasing issue, very vital, very important and increasing, ever increasing issue. It has become a common ideology of the whole international community. Uh, that is beyond state borders. So it has the human rights have become international ideology that whole international community beyond state borders, beyond any margin, they have accepted internationally. That is why we call it internationalism. Then the universality. Human rights go along with the progress of human society. Along with the progress of the human society. Hand in hand they go and have always been a universal international documents. So, universal concern, global wise concern on human beings in different, international documents it has included. The dignity, worth, and right to happiness of all must be accepted without any condition or clause. See, dignity. These are repeated words. Worth, right to happiness are universally accepted without any condition or without any clause. Race, color, sex, language, religion, political opinion, nation, social position, property, origin, or other circumstances should not be used for discrimination, and that everybody is endowed with all rights and freedom. So no bias, no discrimination at all. for human right. So whatever the position you are likely to be protected by the human rights, or wherever you are, or in uh, the time is also not a barrier. Moreover, nobody can be discriminated against because of membership in a particular self-governed or in his rights because of political, legislative, or international position. Whatever your position is, whatever group or self-governed or dependent state you are a member, nobody can discriminate your rights, right? You have. They are objectively accorded regardless of anyone's will. Universality. Then inheritance. Human rights guarantee human dignity, and because they were given originally to the people, they are recognized as natural inherent rights. Human rights are not granted in accordance with any law or by any state. It's a natural inherent rights. By birth, you have that right as a human being. Then absoluteness. Human rights are inalienable rights, and they are recognized universally and are absolute rights. They are absolute. The essence of human personality, human dignity and worth confirms them to be inviolable. Your uh, human personality, human dignity and worth cannot be violated. As such, the state must guarantee the people's dignity, respect, and happiness by preventing any law which would do otherwise. So it's the responsibility of a state to. Next one is inviolability. Human rights cannot be violated as they are inherent and are internationally enforced. Cannot be violated because they are inherent ones, inherent rights and internationally enforced rights. Other than this, the guarantee of human rights is the duty of the state. Guarantee human rights. The state should neither alienate these rights nor limit or violate them. Then the next one is permanence. Human rights are not to be guaranteed temporarily for a certain period of time, but should be permanently assured, of which nobody could be deprived. Permanently accepted, not a temporarily guaranteed one. The dignity and worth of human beings does not change over time by the status or position. The dignity and worth of human being does not change over time. Then the individuality. Next characteristic is individuality. Human rights have their basis in people's dignity, worth, and happiness. That is the basis for human rights. So every human being is independent, and each person possesses a right to be independent, which cannot be taken away in lieu of any other thing. So his dignity, worth, and happiness cannot be taken away by any way. Every person has a right to determine their own destiny, which is prerequisite of a personal right. In simple terms, human rights are a subject of neither a nation nor a collective body, but of the individual. Individual right, individual is individuality. Then self-determination. All people have the right to self-determination on the basis of inherent human dignity. Right to self-determine the basis of inherent human dignity. Uh, it means that all people freely determine their own political position and independence, seek their own economic, social, and cultural development. See, we have freedom to for this. We have freedom to choose our own political position, our own economic level, our own cultural developments. We have self-determination. As human dignity, worth, and happiness are intrinsic to personal rights become a necessary prerequisite for the individuals to determine their own destiny. Intrinsic rights. The subject of human rights is naturally human. So individuals have the right to determine their lives. We have the right to determine our lives. Then self-evidence. Men are born equal and with certain fixed, inherent, inalienable rights, which include in the right to life, freedom, and happiness. This is accepted as a self-evident truth. So people are born equal and with certain fixed, inherent rights, inalienable rights, that are right to life, freedom, right to freedom, and happiness. They are accepted as self-evident truth. Then the fundamental. Human rights include the principle of obtaining a guarantee of human dignity, worth, and happiness. See, these words are repeated, getting repeated. Dignity, worth, and happiness. So human rights include these. So it is a fundamental norm, a basic principle, and a standard for analyzing the essence of effectiveness of laws and ordinance. So it should be considered a standard of human dignity and worth as far as it is included, both in establishing the laws and analyzing them. So far we have discussed some specific characteristics of human rights. Then bases and sources of human rights. The initial point of conception of human rights can be located in the notion of natural rights that was propounded in the 17th century by John Locke, who urged that certain rights are natural to individuals on the basis of being human. Now, uh, the basis for human rights. Now, first instance was by John Locke in the 17th century. He says that certain rights are natural to individuals on the basis of being human. Because they are human, they have uh, some rights, natural rights. He asserted that these have existed even before the development of societies and emergence of state. He has uh, proved that these natural rights of individuals existed even before the development of societies and uh, states. The proponents of natural rights urge that natural rights are inherent to an individual simply because he or she belongs to the human species and not because he is a citizen of a particular country. Now, it says that you have natural rights because you are a human being. Human being. You belong to the human species. Right? That's why you have these natural rights. Its tone was radical, and in its ultimate employment was revolutionary. It's a radical thing, but it is a revolution. Historically, the rising commercial middle class made the demand for individual rights. Now, in the French Revolution, United States Revolution, all these revolutions were started to make the demand for individual rights. Industrial Revolution. The American independence movement of 1776, French Revolution of 1789 were inspired by the ideal of natural rights, and both movements sought to change the governments that curtailed the natural rights of people. So these independent movements or revolutions were started to protect the natural rights that were covered or curtailed by the governments. The preamble to the American Declaration of Independence 1776 reads this way: all men are created equal. All men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The Creator has given unalienable rights to people to live life, liberty, and happiness. And to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. to secure these rights, governments men create governments. They give their power to the government to protect these rights. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government, right? And it is people's right when, if a government destruct the, what do you call, the rights, human rights, they have to be removed and a new government should be elected, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers to in such form as to them shall seem most likely to effect their safety and happiness. So in order to secure the safety and happiness of people, that thing should be happen. Uh, However, it was during the French Revolution in 1789, the natural rights were elevated to the status of legal rights with the formulation of the Declaration of Rights of Man. So, the natural rights was has become has taken the status of illegal right with the formulation of Declaration of Human Rights of Man uh, during the French Revolution in 1789. The declaration defined the natural and imprescriptible rights of men as liberty, property, security, and resistance to oppression. They are the natural and imprescriptible rights of man: liberty, freedom, property, and security, and resistance to oppression. The American Bill of Rights in 1791, American Bill of Rights, also incorporated natural rights. It included in that also. The above conception of natural rights was deployed in several political and social movements through the 19th century. Uh, for example, the uh, suffragette movement was based on the natural equality between a man and a woman. The different views of various thinkers were put forward regarding basis of rights, according to which various theories have been propounded. So this is the base for the human rights. So Gayani and Rukeya, do you have any problems? Any question to ask? Yes.
No, madam. No, miss.
Right. Rukeya,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, madam. No, madam. All,
No.
all clear.
Okay. So thank you for being with me. Yes, I hope that you read the note again and again and try to understand and answer the given questions in your syllabus. Okay. In the next lesson, we'll discuss the sources of human rights. So I think it's high time to wind up our session today. So thank you again for being with me, and good night all.
Good night.
Okay.